Next on Newshub Nation.
Assessing the scale of the response required to the devastation caused by Cyclone Gabrielle.
And we're on the Coromandel wondering how it can future-proof itself against cyclones and climate change.
Next on 3. Tēnā tātou katoa, I am Rebecca Wright.
And I'm Simon Shepard. No mai ki te motu. Welcome to Newshub Nation for 2023 on the program today. Following a devastating week for New Zealand, Prime Minister Chris Hipkins and Emergency Minister Kieran McAnulty on what happens next.
Is it time to abandon flood-prone land? Climate Minister James Shaw joins us in the studio.
And we cross live to Michael Morra in an unrecognisable Hawke's Bay. First in the program today, the Prime Minister has just visited Hawke's Bay to see firsthand the devastation Cyclone Gabrielle has inflicted on the region.
I was there alongside him as he met emergency services personnel and surveyed scenes that can only be described as apocalyptic. I asked him about the scale of this disaster. Prime Minister, can you have been now to Gisborne, you have been here in the Hawke's Bay, you are getting information from right across the country. Have you got a grasp yet on the scale of this disaster?
This is undoubtedly the biggest natural disaster that we've seen probably this century. It is absolutely what we'll be focused on doing.
Prime Minister Chris Hipkins there. Let's go to Hawke's Bay now and the devastated area of Puketapu where Newshub Investigations correspondent Michael Morra has been reporting from. He joins us now via satellite. Kia ora, Michael.
Yeah, kia ora, good morning, Simon, from Puketapu in Hawke's Bay. A community built on horticulture and viticulture. On Tuesday morning, a wall of water washed through this area after the Tutaikuri River burst its banks and it has devastated this area. I'm joined now by apple orchardist Craig Wilson. Thanks so much for speaking to us. Just first of all, how long have you been growing apples and what have you lost?
Yeah, we've been growing apples in this region in the Dartmoor Valley for 31 years. We've got 50 hectares, we've lost 40 of those hectares, either under forestry slash or...
Support needed for the people of Puketapu and all around the Hawke's Bay region.
Absolutely, Michael. Tēnā koe. All right, coming up, our political panel, Sue Bradford, Dita Deboni and Simon Bridges.
But first, we speak to Emergency Management Minister Kieran McAnulty. That's next. Welcome back. Well, more than 4,500 people remain unaccounted for in the wake of Cyclone Gabrielle. Police have set up a specialist team of 80 staff to cross-reference and search for those people. 100,000 homes still have no power. 9,000 people are displaced in Hawke's Bay alone. Several small communities remain cut off and isolated in Hawke's Bay and Tairāwhiti, and temporary morgues have been set up at the port in Napier and at Hawke's Bay Hospital. The Navy's HMNZS Canterbury is on its way to Hawke's Bay to help with those relief efforts. And Gisborne District Council says people can use water again, but to restrict use to drinking, short showers and food preparation. Floodwaters, though, are a different story. Te Whatu Ora is warning of gastroenteritis in floodwater, and it's urging people to keep their distance from it as it could be contaminated. It has been a tragic and shocking week for the country and a gruelling test for an emergency management minister who's been in the job for just 7 months. Kieran McAnulty joins us from his electorate, part of which is also in a state of emergency. Tēnā koe, Minister. Welcome to Newshub Nation.
Thank you. Good morning.
I want to start with, just by touching on the death toll in this disaster. Do you have a confirmation this morning of the number of people who are confirmed dead? We are seeing reports of 9.
I haven't received confirmation this morning of any additional deaths to the toll. Obviously, 8 as it stands is a tragedy by itself. We are anticipating that it's possible there are more, but I can't confirm that there is any additional ones as I haven't received a briefing, I'm afraid.
Okay. Minister, I was out in the Hawke's Bay yesterday and you could start to feel the frustration sort of creeping in. Do you feel that, Minister? Do you feel it yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a natural reaction to what is a devastating one that gives reassurance to these communities.
Well, that will give reassurance to some of those people affected, I'm sure. That is Emergency Management Minister Kieran McAnulty.
All right, time now for our first political panel of the year. I'm joined by former Green MP Sue Bradford, senior NBR journalist Dita Daboni, and former National Party leader Simon Bridges, who is now CEO of the Auckland Business Chamber. Tēnā koutou, welcome to the program. Where do you start when you're faced with this kind of scale of disaster, Simon? Have you actually come to grips with that scale?
Well, I suppose you do exactly what they are doing. I think right now you have to say it's hard to fault what the political leaders have done. They've got it on the ground, they're understanding what's happening, and they're providing the empathy and support that, I'm sure we all want them to do. I think they do have to grip it up, though, and make sure that they're also
poorest and the home people without housing, and they need every bit of support.
I think that's the
government
distinction.
Can give them.
Deal with the needs, not necessarily full insurance,
right.
and I think government has a role in that. Well, no more than a role of responsibility.
All right, lots to come. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you so much to the panel. Amuri Akane, coming up next. Are we going to have to abandon some of our flood-prone towns? Climate Change Minister James Shaw joins me here after the break. Hoki mai anō, welcome back. New Zealanders may look back on this week as the moment we began seriously reckoning with climate change. Cyclone Gabrielle forcing difficult decisions about managed retreat in the face of overwhelming weather.
I struggle to find words to...
James Shaw, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we've just got some breaking news. Police are investigating another death in Hawke's Bay. They say the person is believed to have died in circumstances related to Cyclone Gabrielle. That brings the total to 9. Ifai Akane coming up. We'll be back with our panel, Sue Bradford, Simon Bridges and Dita Daboni. Plus, will Coromandel roads ever be repaired, or does the government have other ideas?
Welcome back to Newshub Nation. You will have seen just before the break, police are investigating another death in Hawke's Bay. They say the person is believed to have died in circumstances related to Cyclone Gabrielle, and that brings the total death toll to 9.
Well, another community reeling right now is the Coromandel Peninsula. Roads are reopening, but the region has weathered repeated storms and isolation.
The Mayor says only massive investment will save its tourist economy, but the government may have other ideas.
The lifeline of the Coromandel community. Then there's the cost of protecting communities. A study last year looked at building seawalls to cope with a 1.4 metre sea level rise in the next 100 years. To protect more than 5,000 houses and commercial buildings, the bill could be $1.1 billion in 2021 dollars. There is no way the Coromandel can afford any of this.
Yeah, sentiment shared by many. Kia paka, whakata tātou. Stay with us. We are back right after the break. Hoki mai anō, welcome back. We are back with our panel, Sue Bradford, Simon Bridges and Dita Daboni. And tragic news just in from police of another cyclone-related death this morning, this time in Hawke's Bay, and that brings the death toll to 9. It is a painful reminder, I suppose, Sue, that this is a heartbreaking time for so many, those who've lost their loved ones, their lives and their livelihoods. And I suppose that human response has to be at the heart of everything that the government does right now, doesn't it?
Kia ora, yes, and I'm sure everyone is thinking again of this terrible loss and fearful of how much more loss there might be as well. I hope
to use this and the momentum, I suppose, in that agreement. Simon Bridges, Sue Bradford and Dita Daboni, thank you so much for joining us here on the panel. That is all from us for our first program for 2023. Our thoughts go out to everyone affected by the floods and Cyclone Gabrielle. Ngā mihi nui, stay safe, and we will see you again next weekend.
He mea tōna ki te hōtaka nei, nā te Public Interest Journalism Fund.